Mayor, it's still just 5:59, but I am recording to the cloud. Councilmember David is on Zoom right now.
It is 6 p.m. Let's call our 2022 Town of Windermere Council meeting is order. As Robert noted, Councilperson David is actually sustaining. We'll join. One nation under indivisible, freely and justice for all. We're going to be having.
We do have from Nora Berkeley. Parks and Recreation has been concerned about the design and placement of the proposed pavilion as it is significantly larger than the former community room. As Parks and Rec manages two large events, maximizing our space. Our event space is critical. We have met with John Fitzgibbons, Susan Carter, and Randy Davis to set the pavilion plans. We feel that moving the pavilion back further into the former temporary town office space is the best option to maximize the green space in front of the pavilion and around town hall. We don't feel making the space into a parking lot is advantageous. We will never have enough parking in our town for large events, and adding parking spots doesn't make our residents' lives better. Another option may be to move the existing basketball courts behind the pavilion, which would create a lot more open green space near town hall. We would still recommend pushing the pavilion back as far as possible, maximizing our green space. Park and Rec passed a resolution asking town council to revisit the pavilion plans in an effort to maximize our event space at the meeting on 12/8. Yes, 12/8. We would appreciate your taking another look at the location of this pavilion. Nora Berkeley, 436 Magnolia Street.
We will be having a public meeting to discuss the further vision, et cetera. And that will be our 13. Any additional public comment on this item? Seeing none.
You signed up, but we wanted to defer, so okay.
Yeah, this is that I mean for the this TV invite. It's been an exciting day over at the police department. For those of you who are not aware, we have official accreditation visit with the surveyors. It's something that's been police department and all. Excited about the support from the community. It is a good day. Proud of everybody, and here it's going well, and we continue on. And the final exit interview will be sometime Wednesday.
Thursday.
Yeah, see,
I know.
I
keep saying that as a mother.
Tuesday. I apologize. Thursday afternoon, it's simply booking. Welcome the surveyors. At this point, we will begin our ceremony swearing and introduction of Officer Manuel, that's Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, residents, and our officers here. Yes, and thank you very much. Everybody showed up and the residents today. I think the assessors were very impressed on the folks that have shown support for the accreditation assessment process. In addition to the residents that spoke on our behalf and you guys as well. My understanding is they received 27 letters that were in the mail as well. And the lead assessor was very surprised and said that we received no negative ones. So they usually get 4 or 5 negative ones when we did assessments, so that was really good. So I get the privilege and honor to get to introduce 2 of our newest officers today, and we were supposed to do it last month. We got a little change because the moved out just a little bit with Thanksgiving coming around us. But today we introduce Officer Emmanuel Rodriguez, who's Officer Rodriguez is right there. The really cool thing is Officer you can see at 100% staff, which is really cool. I think we already have 74 of that currently has 100% staff, which is great. Manny comes to us with some experience in the past. He did in Arkansas. He's a Arkansas state trooper. We don't hold that against him. Too bad. But actually works out very well for us. As we know that. I don't know what right? So he's got a lot of experience doing traffic experience there. So he comes to us with all that experience and moved to Florida a couple of years back and wanted to get back and join law enforcement. So we're extremely happy to have him aboard. You probably may have already seen him out on the road. He and also Sarah Hoffman are both already started their training. My understanding is what's Manny's experience you've already moved up. So hopefully the training phase typically takes about 4.5 months for them to get off before they support. So we see 2 officers riding in the vehicle, which is traditionally that, and going on the officers are in the training. So we already sworn him in because he's already going in the badge. But this is an opportunity for us to introduce him to the public, our town residents, and also do the ceremony of swearing in. So many of you will raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. I solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, the state of Florida, and the ordinances of the town of Windermere. That I am well and duly qualified to serve this position as police officer. And that I will well and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, perform the duties of police officer for the town of Windermere, which I'm about to enter. So, yeah, congratulations. I'm going to say a few words and thank you for pigeons, and we welcome to come with us as well.
How's everybody doing today? I'm not big on public speaking, but I just want to say thank you. I'm proud to be here. That I'm still here today, and my family as well for supporting on this long journey, and I'm honored to be part of the marriage.
The date, everybody's right in the date. Today's going to change. Thank you so much.
We have Officer Sarah Hoffman. So Sarah was born in a meeting with Fish Square, and we got a bunch of pictures. This is a good opportunity to introduce her to the staff, our residents as well. Sarah actually is our first ever police officer that we hired in the academy. So she was still in the academy when I November 5th, she graduated, and I actually got a chance to swear her. Really made she come to law enforcement without any law enforcement experience in the past. Back to you chose to raise your 3 beautiful daughters and your family and having your first priority in life, which is school. And then when that finished up, you said, I want to do something bigger than that, even the next time I want to have her for my life. So she just, she has jumped aboard here. She's in the FBO training as well. I think a couple weeks ago, the rest of the Times actually did an article on you, which is really, really good. Respect that, good job. Well, we appreciate that. So she's not going to be sworn in tonight. She's already been sworn in, but we're going to make sure that you guys have an opportunity this year. Just like Officer Rodriguez, she's out there right now doing FTO. So the next, take about 4 months to get through that FTO process, but we're just really, other than happy to have her along. She's doing great in her FTO, and, we want to say a few words. Awesome. Very good.
I also am extremely pleased and excited to be part of Windermere. I've met a lot of you at different events. I try to come to as many events as I can to get my face out there. Thanks, Annabelle. That has been pretty easy. I've pulled a couple of you over already. I'm sorry. But it's funny. It's funny because the first thing people say is, "Oh, you're the girl in the news." So, like, you know, it's like tearing at my heartstrings a little bit, but I'm sorry. Great. I love the community. I love to be a part of it, and the events that you guys do here. I can't wait to be part of it even more. So, thank you for opening your arms and your doors to us and being so grateful for us, and we really appreciate it. So thank you. They were all like, where did you? Hold on. Thank you so much.
All of our new officers. We take home. I've been 2 seats of the 9-day review of the Southeast Water traffic. Good evening. Make this brief. David Starr, 1027 Oakdale. I've been consistent with my reaction to the barrier, and it's still working. In fact, I think it's worked better than any of us had hoped. And I hope tonight the town moves forward with a permanent plan. Because the one thing I think we've seen is the road is so much safer now. It's so much quieter. And I think we've kept the traffic on the paved road where it belongs instead of zooming through our neighborhoods and putting at risk our kids, our pets, us, all of us. So it's worked. So thanks again for trying it out. And hopefully it's a model for other areas in town. I mean, it really has, I think, worked better than I anticipated. And I'm grateful for that. Now, I'm south of it at 1027. So the evening traffic, we don't see that anymore. We do get a couple in the morning that try to zoom past and they get stuck and get shot right back out in line, which is where they don't. So it's worked.
And I hope we move forward with a permanent plan. I saw on the agenda the timeline. I'd like to see if we could speed that up a little bit, considering we have council elections coming up, and I don't want to have to go through the education process again of the second public hearing or reading and all that. So if we can tweak that and compress it, that would be great. I think, in my opinion, I don't think it's that difficult of a design. We could come up with 2 or 3 options like we did with the bridge and just pick one and go with it. And so I hope you vote to move forward with the permanent plan. So thank you for your time.
David, I didn't want to mention to you, just comment and some compliments on steady shepherding of agenda item. Coming forth with positive. Yeah, I didn't back to say, hey, we like what's happening, we appreciate it, and no, it's not perfect. Causes us not to have to over engineer. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's out there now is not the most, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it was effective. In fact, I put 5 of the things back in the ground this last weekend, which I believe was the UPS truck that pulled them out. So, we've got a little bit of everything. So, but it's worked, and it really has worked. So I appreciate the feedback. I just want to see it to its final conclusion.
Thank you. Randy Haynes.
Yep, Brandon Haynes, 835 Oakdale Street. I agree with him on most parts. I have a little bit different perspective to the court. I'm at the intersection where everything is happening. And sorry I sent the email link kind of late, but got a lot going on tonight here. So there is definitely, a decrease in traffic. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you can see that in the numbers from the stats from the police that, we've dropped over 50% of cars. So I hope that finally puts to bed that, in my opinion anyway, the Kim Horn study wasn't accurate to what that cut-through traffic was, because we wouldn't see those decreases in the past if there wasn't a cut-through problem. And it's also important, my husband always makes sure I remind them, that stuff is counting the cars that aren't turning. So the ones that do come down and, do a UE, do a 3-point turn in the street, they're still being double counted. They're still cut through, and they realize they can't get where they need to go, so they go out another way. I know that the permanent solution, when you update the maps and Google Maps and everything, that's definitely going to prevent some of the delivery drivers from coming through, because they're not going to think it's a factor. But you'll see on there, and Tanya's not here tonight, but I've been in contact with Tanya last week, the black Jeep I've been talking about for 4 years. He drove up on Monday and last week and looked around and drove right over the barricade. And then the next day I was inside, and we were outside with my daughter to ride a bike without training. The next night I got a text from the neighbor across the street from me, the Martins, and Mrs. Martin said, you need to check the cameras. I just saw a black Jeep drive over the barricade on Tuesday night. So for, just for the sake of looking, my husband checked the footage on Wednesday. And again, he drove over the barricade on Wednesday. So we are still going to have people that do that. So in some of my different talks with people, we've talked about whether, it's going to be landscapes and like a permanent solution, which was some of the early talks and stuff that was in the plan. And there's been some teetering back and forth, depending on what's happening too, about maybe doing the style things. I think it's important to remember that some people are still just going to move that or drive over it. So if there's a way to figure that out with emergency management, I mean, waste flow comes through there as long as there's some parking next to the diverter, parking on the side streets. We had a tractor trailer parked out there this week. We had quite an event for a week. They were just parked along the entire length of Oakdale, blocking traffic. So that was on the day traffic was coming through. So there's definitely going to have to be either signs or something to control the harshness of this thing, because if not, you're impeding traffic for everybody, not just emergency management. I think emergency management needs to be able to get through, but reality is we're still gonna have stupid people. We're gonna have jerks, we're gonna have idiots. The neighbor's mailbox, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and that video is probably was crashed into. My husband and I were standing in the driveway, somebody pulled the charge on the way, and I'm not kidding, they're about when it was in feet. That's the Glance's property, and their mailbox is designed to spin and tilt, so that's the only thing that saved it. Now, that being said, it has crinkled their mailbox. So, and I don't know if they did file a police report or not. I did get some information to the police. So the neighbors are still going to be dealing with stuff. So they're like, there needs to be some like permanent solutions. Like I put up 6x6s. They've been hit. The 4x4s break. The 6x6s have been hit. Chunks are taken out. They've driven over them. They've drug them all around the yard and back out. And then they just take off. I mean, even the one who hit the mailbox, my husband and I witnessed it. And the woman got out, spun the mailbox around, and she took off the street trying to, because I was pulling out to take her to the school.
There's the reason we're gonna have the public input
Right.
meetings with the engineer to gather all this information. We're gonna be notifying all the neighbors within 500 feet, having the input, getting a feel for what they like, what they don't like, and then how to curtail some of the issues that Brandy's talking about tonight. We just didn't want to move forward with an ordinance right away, because if you move forward with an ordinance, you immediately close that road. So we had to do some due diligence and trying to figure out that final solution.
Everyone really will less.
Right.
Look at the numbers, maybe investigate solutions that are used in different areas for this type of.
Right.
I've seen things that come in and out of the ground, there's a lot of.
Right.
I think we're gonna have the opportunity to look
Right.
at several solutions.
Right. I just want to make sure it's more than just signs. Because signs isn't stopping the people who are doing
This is. So. There's laws.
Right.
Right, so glad to hear that overall it is working.
Right.
A couple sticky wickets that.
Okay.
My impression from, I'm not really gonna be negative feedback.
Right.
That.
Right. Okay.
Also, I'd like to say that, I did not see any of the traffic going somewhere else that they think about. I was a little concerned they find other quadrants, at least not on this side of, Diane.
No. And it is for us, like we do have the opposite of and so we see people coming in the evening, usually heading south. We don't have the morning where she has the opposite direction because it's just the location of our homes in comparison, divert to that. So.
Tonight, what we're looking for from council is to, which, if council is in agreement on that, there's with these sites. So David, I just want to address the timeline. There are some limitations with ordinance. So 60 days minimum there. It's possible we could implement the ordinance while we're working on the permanent fix. We have a good direction how that will go. We'll look at it as best we can to see what we that's the timeline. Any new community council, we sensitive to what it's good. Also, any questions? Motion to approve. Motion to approve. Second. Williams. We need voting on Councilor Murphy. Staff, need any further direction?
No, sir. We'll create a timeline and send it out, and then notice the public accordingly as far as the public information, and also get a couple of plans together that we think they'd be to.
The sort of agenda management
No, sir. We already have a couple of conceptuals that are drafted, and we're still looking at some other areas, but we'll make sure it's on different.
I mean, if we're just all moving work out and. That's it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all. Close our town, let's be here, actually, and we will open. These are revisions to the town's law, reviews to line with the law. This is the second and final reading of the public hearing. Ordinance of the Town of Windermere continues to help safety and knowledge. Amending and updating Article 3 from Chapter 1 of the town's code of ordinances of builders. Providing for severability, publication, and activity. At this time, we want to publicly. Seeing no takers, we will close our public hearing at 6:25 p.m. and we open our Windermere Town Council meeting. Any comments, questions, or concerns on this?
Okay, I have a question. When a 14 you're allowed to drive a boat or a jet ski, but to do so, you have to go online and I think make sure you understand the rules and regulations.
No, there's no requirement like that at all. This is the 14 years of age comes specifically from the statute. And there have been municipalities and jurisdictions that have tried to change that age and make it more restrictive. And the Attorney General said, no, the statute says 14, so you have to allow them at 14.
If you allow them 14, you require. Is that
No, you can't be more restrictive. The one thing the statute does say is they can't drive after dark, and there's only, you can only go with what's in the statute now, and the statute's changed over time.
It's been my experience with administration that we don't get very sideways and solutions. We end up without a seat. So that's. Any additional questions? My hope would be that I know that before it was 16, so people that were 14 might drive. My concern is now it's 14, that mean people that are 12 will drive.
Oh, I think you draw exactly right.
Motion to agree. Okay. Passage unanimous. Next up, council is new business. These are our town council meeting minutes of November 14, 2022. Let's begin with the council person. So this item, this is also a consent item. This is for C 22-0935 Pine Street. This is Joseph Audits and buys variance request without friends at 18 feet for a attached garage. The original variance request was for 16-foot setback. DRB recommends approval for the one.
Yes, Mayor, I'll just give you a brief update of what happened since it was before you before. And I've read this way through, sort of easier. As you know, there was in October to a meeting, we had a state before you with the recommendation of denial from the development review board. When you all reviewed it, you had some concerned questions, you then remanded it and asked the applicant to come back, see if they could maybe increase the setback off of Pine Street and remanded it back to the development review board. The applicant, I'm sorry, Mr. Seaman, they did re-look at their plan and they resubmitted, they submitted a revised plan. And what they did is, it says, is they pulled it 2 feet further away from Pine Street instead of being at 16 feet, but now they're at 18 feet on the northern side. And they're at 19.5 feet on the southern side instead of 17.5 feet. So they did reduce that encroachment to the setback. When this went back to the development review board at the November meeting, they did review this revised plan and they did recommend approval of the plan as it was resubmitted. As it's with you this evening with the 18-foot minimum setback for this garage addition. And how they were doing this, they actually reduced the extent of how far the garage is going to go. Before it was going to be a little bit over 13 feet, now it's 11 feet. So that's 32 feet. So they just reduced that extension of the garage. That's how they got that further setback. We also did a brief analysis. We looked at one of the budgets came up with, compatibility with the area. And looked at, because Pine Street is one of those streets here in the town where we have lots of non-conforming homes. And I say lots of growth. So when we looked at this, about half of the homes that are on Pine Street don't meet 25-foot setback. And several are actually at what's being proposed now or less. So it's not completely out of character with that area to have a smaller setback in the front. That's just the way that area is. But they do have now a recommendation of the development review board. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And the applicants here also answer any questions you may have about it.
Council, would you like to hear from the applicant as well, or would you have questions for Brad?
Each off as a roadway.
Yeah, yeah, right. If you go right, because of you have the right of way, undeveloped right of way, there's that plan.
So they should set that off of the right of way.
Brad, the other homestead that you only setback was there because the code was.
They are all built long ago. There's actually one home that appears to encroach as well to the right. That was built in the 1920s. So it's just that's the situation. They're all.
So they have to make the garage 7 feet smaller to fit the tire.
Basically, their garage now is right at 25, so they couldn't do any addition or change that garage.
But they could change the driveway configuration. We basically do what they're doing now.
This new configuration eliminates the loop. Yeah, in the driveway. Yeah, you don't mind. Yeah, just because you use your name and that's goes to bottom.
A big thing that we talked about in development review board meetings, we spent a lot of time in the last meeting talking about trees, and they're very important in this management policy to save the tree. But the big thing, if you look at your agenda item, is that our house was built in 1999. In 2004, not really the council, really the town manager, from my understanding, and in talking to this given, the town manager approved development of Block D, which is on fish. At that point in time, Block D was redeveloped. A portion of our driveway exited into the town right of way, it was considered town right of way at that time, at the northern side of our property. When Block D was redeveloped, that whole area became private property. So after the house was built, the road in front of our house was changed from public right of way, or this is using that in that fashion, but on the fish net, the private right of way. So right now, the northern section of our driveway exits onto private property. It's our neighbor's property. Actually, mostly it's our neighbor's property. Also, when the roundabout was removed in 2004, 2005, created a hardship that people are using that northern segment of our driveway as a turnaround point. So you leave the edge into the road, they don't rest the risk, and they use that northern section of our driveway, reversing into it, and then using it as a turnaround. There was historical values. So, We're gonna be on my street forever, one minute, look great, to be functioning. My neighbors feel the same way, which is why, everybody is supportive of it, I know, I think it's true. And we're going to accomplish a lot of things. We're going to hopefully maintain and preserve, which should be in front of our property. By the way, where the northern side of our driveway is now, that's all going to be grass. But I think it's going to look a lot nicer at the end of the turnaround point there. It's not going to be driveway, it's just going to be grass now. We're going to remove the hardship of people using our driveways as a turnaround point. And then we're also going to clean up that this harmony flat where private driveway is down to another private property spot. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's me or the next person going for that or totally not let it, I'm saying that, but it doesn't matter who it is. Anybody would object to their driveway exiting onto another person's private property, and that was something that happened after the house was permitted, built, and constructed. And actually, if you look on the site plan, you can see there's a red line. So that red line, anything north of that red line is private property. Technically, they're probably would become out of rotation. There can't really be a front setback on that portion of the property because there's no town right away. There is no town right away. So, obviously, we want to abide by, the setback across the whole property. So we propose this setback, and will abide by even though there is no town right away.
And Mayor, that was the determining factor for the voting. So that was accepted as a hardship. So I believe
the person who built the house is actually in massive opposition to the development of Bumping Point. Again, the house was built in '99 and the Bumping Point was sold in 2004, or replanted in 2004. And talking to my neighbors, it was a huge fight, but somehow didn't get to the council and it was just, I don't know the details of that.
so yeah, okay, good enough. Thank you, sir. Any further questions? On the scene? See now. Second. Any additional comments, questions? See none, we can go to the councilperson. Aye. Thank you. Congratulations, sir. Good work and prosper.
We will with that. And I heard you got to say a little meeting, right?
Sometimes, so that's why I'm really making it.
I don't want to do like any of that, I don't through like actually just like appreciate the town taking you guys. Away from it.
If you do, next is agenda item for this is Conference Architects. This is town hall rehabilitation not to exceed. I'm going to present on this a little better.
Yeah, I mean, I can, the executive summary is self-explanatory. We did an RFQ, received one response. The amount of the money that they were looking at was well over what we anticipated. We reached out to two other vendors, Tom Price being one of them, with his qualifications and experience and the past work that he's done. I think the money's going to be well spent, and you've seen the 3 phases that are lined out in front of you, and there will be a lot of public input, especially for one who want to maintain the historic designation, making sure that we follow the Secretary of Interior guidelines, but also make it somewhat functional as an event space because we do use it for a lot of events.
Questions, comments? It's very much needed.
stay aligned with the sort of ratio requirements. And, we should definitely be in.
Is, the work, the video includes that?
It includes the entire town hall, yes. I would have to defer to Tanya on that, but I think it was based on the input that was gathered in phase 1 and 2. It was an unknown of how many hours would be part of phase 3. But the delta between the 125 and the 30,000, we don't believe that it's going to exceed that 125, or actually be a lot much cheaper than that. Based on the $115 an hour.
Yeah.
Everything, right, 83.
Any additional comments? Questions, council? Look for a motion to approve. Motion to approve. You count for minutes. Any further questions, comments? Seeing none, we can move on to the market. Aye. That brings us to our mayor and council liaison reports. We already reported on the accreditation process that's happening as we speak. A great planned event. It's well attended and we really appreciate it. There is some input on building. The additional Christmas party, thank you everybody for that.
Yeah, we had a great committee with the ladies on that committee. It surprised me a little way every time they sit down and start working. They already started by next year. They've already started planning. And this year, really surprised they had this thing cleaned up and locked down in like 35 minutes. All it through the evening, and nobody wanted to come back on Sunday, so or Saturday. It was amazing. Plenty of help from high school. We had a ton of volunteers from both middle schoolers and high schoolers. So it's kind of nice. Hope everybody had a really good time.
Kids like that.
Yes. We're going to look for more ideas and suggestions, what people like and didn't like, and things we can adjust for next year. But they're all really 20 words. We do not have a number yet on what we raised for the foundation. Still trying to think of what we said. So, yeah, we're going to be. We had a lot of us this year from other committees. Donated this month, staying with ATV. So, and I think tree board did it. But you know, you need to look at the budget. This year, it was smaller than last year's event, and it cost us much. Just everybody was 20, 30, 40% higher on run fees. That was the big piece. You know, it was just amazing. And he shot it.
We're finding the same thing for mining.
Yeah, everything's right.
Yeah, it's getting down there.
Been sort of attached to groups that I think good progress, all the items there. I am starting to attend the So if there's any. I'm gonna be discussing the next town. So we, and then lastly, I just wanted to say, we need to tell staff and also for the flowers, thoughts, like far past, so.
Staff.
Yes, sir.
Oh, we have nothing. You, I didn't mean to forget the other thing. I missed.
Oh, I didn't go out. I mean, I guess,
Sorry.
happy birthday to Councilmember Davitt. Was yesterday, but I owe him a birthday beverage next door after this meeting, so I'm going to be brief as possible. I hope everybody has a happy holiday season, is safe, and looking forward to a great 2023. I kind of want to get 2022 behind me. With all things that have gone on, but with the accreditation, with a lot of the projects that are moving forward, I think it's going to be a great 2023. So thank you all.
Robert, thank you for.
One's free and one doesn't.
Well, I guess it's yes, that's for sure. Robert, thank you for covering for me last month. And then with respect to the boathouses, all of the motions to dismiss that by the boathouse tenants have been dropped by them. So we received all the answers to the complaints. All of them look basically the same as the one that I had sent you months ago. And Nick and Summer have filed discovery, and I sent you some samples of what it looks like, and it looks pretty much the same across the board for everyone. And once we get back the responses to discovery, then we will provide you with an update, and we'll of course talk with Robert about next steps.
You didn't have to go to court with the other ones, right? They brought.
No, we didn't. There was a second one that was heard and was not decided, and they went ahead and withdrew the motions to dismiss.
And they have 30 days to respond to the current.
Discovery. And happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks everybody for showing up this morning. I think that was very encouraging. Ms. Rose, I just think maybe we'll sign Mark, maybe do an educational campaign on the golf course. Because there are some things to consider about those. You can still get tickets. Even at 14 years old, and that can mess up your day later on. I do have a lot of patience in life, but I'm looking, remember back to when my son was 14. And I had very little patience at that time.
They did a ticket next to Orange County. It's like.
You can get a ticket, just like anybody else.
They don't have the option.
So I had a little educational, maybe some videos that could be helpful. That was I think all you have to do is but lots of great events. We did the Think of a Cop was a great event. Then Sandal, a great article day. The light up event, Hoopla. There's a whole bunch of time. So again, thanks for everybody's support, and we'll be over there all week. We'll stop by.
Or anything to add?
Yes, call
Thanks for the
out.
man.
Oh, you're welcome. It's okay, I thought it was better to have it delivered than you guys try to burn it all up. I did attend a supervisor of elections meeting this last week actually. And qualifying opens Thursday, if you believe, let everybody know. But next year in 2024, we will be picking back with the presidential preference primary. So we will be having a different qualifying period for 2024. So we'll end of 2023 into 2024, because they have to have things done by December 19th, and that's usually when our qualifying opens. So our session will change for 2023 and 2024. But everything's a go so far for this one, and there's some different requirements for the canvassing board, and should we have an election, if we should, I will go further.
So if someone were to choose to serve this next opportunity, they would get an early release. line up in the residential or not?
No. We're gonna see back with them on the election, which I think won't have that much of a cost. Yeah, no, it's gonna be in March. It's in March.
Just follow.
Yeah, so our qualifying will change substantially. We'll have to do a resolution or something that change that, meet that requirement, but that's later on. And if we should end up having an election, then like I said, I would give with people that canvassing has changed and it's gonna be almost an all-day fair. So if we have any ballots, yeah, we will have to start like 9 o'clock in the morning. Then we can leave and then come back at 4 or 6, and depending on how things play. So it's changed and it's very tedious, but I will keep you on track. It shouldn't have an election.
Thank you for attending the training and keeping us on track. We'll see you then. I certainly want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy holiday. We hope your time with family. We appreciate very much your all the staff, the great work that we do try to do on behalf of all of the citizens and residents. And thank you guys, especially these 3 and analysts. And this is good shape. And we appreciate that. And look forward to that. 6:51.